Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bleacher Takes. We got some familiar faces on the screen tonight. Timmy Boy always here, and we got Nate back. He got the good old flower pattern shirt on, dripping in his return. Nate, it's good to have you back, man. How you doing? How's the new living situation? How's life treating you?
Hey, we're getting there. Trying to get all settled in, but hey, we're enjoying it. It's a little hot, a little rainy at times, but we're hanging in there. So a lot of sports going on though, and I'm upset that I'm missing this episode 3 of the Captain. So what's going to be a late night for us because we're going to be
Oh,
watching that.
no doubt,
Or did
no
you already
doubt.
watch it?
No, I have not. I have not watched it yet.
Oh
So
man, I can't
no
wait to watch it.
spoilers
I'm
for that.
actually enjoying that series a lot, and I enjoyed the obviously the one about Michael Jordan. What was the other big one that came out that was really good just recently?
Um, I know
I
what
can't
you're talking
remember
about,
what it
but
was. Yeah, but I mean, I
yep.
I do enjoy those series and kind of like just the history and um, obviously we were young kids. You know the Yankees a lot better than I do as far as their past history. I mean, Derek Jeter was always a stud. He was one dude that I loved growing up. I loved watching. I think any kid loved, especially our age, getting into baseball. Loved watching Derek Jeter play. He played shortstop. He played on the Yankees. I mean, dude was just a stud. I mean, and he was just even if he didn't have the best stats, the most home runs, the most RBIs, no matter what, like he was the best player in many people's eyes growing up in that time frame. So just watching him, the story as a rookie, it's pretty cool, man. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've been loving it. Obviously, going in depth and you know seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff in those that dynasty in the late '90s, early 2000s, and Derek Jeter's career. One of the best Yankees of all time, and an all
Mm-hmm.
time great player. Uh, and Obviously love Derek Jeter. I'm a Yankees fan. How do I not love the guy? So yeah, I've been definitely enjoying it. Love watching it. I'm glad that they're doing it. And he's just an overall good guy. I'm interested to see how all the episodes go though, because in the Last Dance, Michael Jordan made some people like it kind of made some people mad at him, like Pippen and him, like their relationship got a little frayed because of the Last
Yeah.
Dance and some of the things that were said. And I feel like that's probably going to happen between Jeter and A Rod. Like there's been some things already said. I feel like that'll probably happen, and maybe a couple other players. So we'll see. I mean, it always creates drama for guys who, for the most part, are kind of out of the limelight now. I mean, they're both respectively, doing their own things, but not really in the day to day news as much, especially since A Rod's not with J Lo anymore. So uh, it's
Yeah.
been. I'm sure we're gonna see. Sure, we're gonna see some of that action, some tension rise up from it. But
And Jeter doesn't own the Marlins anymore, does he? Right?
no,
Didn't
no,
he sell them?
he stepped down as they're basically running their operations.
Mm.
Um, basically he traded the Yankees Stanton and dipped. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, but I am enjoying the series though. I think it's going to be. I'm curious to see how many episodes there are. Maybe I don't know. Oh, the Tom Brady one. That's the one we were talking about. Oh, we
Oh yeah,
missed
yeah, yeah.
the Michael Jordan, the Tom Brady. All of them have been really good and been fun to
Mm-hmm.
watch. So obviously, this one, the captain, is not disappointing at all. Man, what
Yeah,
are the
for
Yankees doing
sure.
right now though? Royals about to shut them out or what?
Well, all I know is the Yankees in the last, I think, 34 games are 17-17. They've earned the right to have a skid like this. I mean, even with everything that's happened, they still have the best record in the American League. Dodgers did take over percentage points wise as the best record in the league, but I could have told you that was coming. Um, but
Well,
Yankees,
they're
I
the
mean, they're
Dodgers.
yeah. I mean, the Yankees have given up the second most runs, or the second least amount of runs in baseball, and still have scored the most runs. So, I mean, they're still fantastic, super dominant. But yeah, I mean, lately, not great. They're 4-6 in the last 10, but again, they've earned these slides. They've earned the ability to lose some games that they should probably win. I mean, they can't continue the pace they were on. They're not going to win 125 games, but
Still got the best home record though out of anybody.
yeah, they're obviously a fantastic team, and I think they're just kind of trying to weather through some of their storms right now. I mean, for the most part, something that people didn't realize: the Yankees were one of the only teams that had basically their 5 starters all year long. Most teams lose a couple starters, through June, and get into the dog days, July. And the Yankees, for the most part, have kept them all healthy until Severino went down a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's supposed to hopefully by September. Stanton just went on the IL. Shouldn't be too long on that. And then we just lost Michael King for the year, and he's been a top 5 relief pitcher in baseball this year. Uh, so it's been tough. I mean, we've had to deal with some injuries here lately that we haven't really had to do all year. I mean, Judge, knock on wood, is usually hurt by this time, and he's been playing MVP baseball all year and isn't hurt. We've been relatively injury free around the diamond, so it was going to happen at some point. I'm not worried about it. I see some people on Yankees Twitter freaking out about the Yankees losing these games. And that they're giving up their lead and stuff. And I said, listen, this team has earned the right to do that, first of all. And second of all, everybody thought they were going to be good. They're the Yankees. But I don't think anybody expected them to be this good. I didn't.
Are you guys getting Chad Green back, or is he gone for the year?
No, gone for the year. Yeah, he had Tommy John.
Gotcha.
Yep. He had Tommy John, lost Michael King. And so, yeah, I mean, if we kind of just want to dive into the Yankees here for a little bit, I mean, I think that's the biggest need that nobody's really talking about. The Yankees have been tied to a lot of big name guys. They've been tied to, obviously Juan Soto. We just got Andrew Benintendi, which I think takes us out of the Juan Soto sweepstakes. But the Benintendi trade has really made, made Yankee fans be like, okay, this team's really gonna, they're really gonna try to go for it at the deadline. We make the first real big acquisition. I mean, Mets got Vogelbach. Santana got moved, about a month ago, but this is like the real, we're, at the trade deadline and an all-star gets moved. I really like it for the Yankees. I like him. He's already batting leadoff for the Yankees today, which I think, once we get Stanton back, he's probably going to be our 7th hitter. Benintendi will be, because we're not playing LeMahieu tonight. And LeMahieu will lead off, and it'll be Judge, Brizzo, Stanton, probably Torres, and then Donaldson, and then Benintendi. But Benintendi brings something to the Yankees lineup not a lot of other guys can bring. One thing I always hear from Josh is, all they do is hit home runs, which is not true. But we do have the most home runs. And Benintendi, I think, only has 3 on the year.
But he's a good hit per average. Yeah. And I think that's a secretly good trade for you guys. I mean, it's not huge, and I think any other time it would probably be like, oh wow, like that's a big trade. But obviously with the Soto, everybody's kind of focused their eyes on that. Where's he going to go? So I mean, it might be a little bit more low key than usual as far as them getting, all-star Andrew Benintendi. But I mean, it's good. I think it's great for you guys. I think it's definitely added a big piece.
And like you said, it wasn't like we picked up anybody. We didn't give
up the ball around.
Right, and we didn't give up anybody big, no real big prospects out of it. So I'm cool with it. I really like the trade there. And honestly, I've heard people, this could be a hot take, and I've heard people say, they're out on Juan Soto. I think it's less likely we get Soto, but I don't think we're out on him. Honestly, the only guy in the outfield right now who's healthy, who can really play the outfield, is Judge. We've been putting Matt Carpenter out there playing some right field, just trying to get his bat in the lineup wherever we can. But he's not a right fielder. He can go out there, he can make the routine plays, but he's not going to make anything that, would be slightly above average or anything more than that. And so I think that, my dream scenario would be, Josh Johnson has not had that great of a year and he's slumping. I'd be fine with Matt Carpenter platooning with him or even taking over his spot at third base and get another outfielder. I mean, Hicks has been okay, but Hicks is up and down. I mean, he's been hitting good lately, but I think he's a really good 4th outfielder, a guy to have on the bench to bring up and pinch hit.
And the guy's got Marwin, who's a good
we got Marwin
backup.
Utility everywhere, yeah. But I mean, Carpenter, He can play third a lot of the time for Donaldson. And there's always going to be guys needing days off, so we can use that DH and rotate it with everybody. But I mean, I can see an outfield with Benintendi and left, Judge and center, and Soto and right. Like I don't think it takes us out on Soto. I think it makes it less likely for
Yeah.
sure, but I don't think we're out on him. But as
You
far as
never know.
offense goes, yeah, I mean, you never know. And as far as offense goes, trade wise, I think we're probably done unless besides Soto. I mean, you're never really out on a guy like Soto. You're always going to be sending those calls in because you have to on a guy like that. But
Yeah, I
as
was
far as
trying to see
offense
what they could
goes,
do.
yeah, as far as offense goes, I think we're done. I mean, we could, if we don't trade Oswald Peraza, shortstop in AAA, he's been absolutely tearing it up. He's a great defensive shortstop as well. If we don't trade him in this trade deadline, then I think he gets called up to, play some shortstop, maybe battle IKF for that starting job. But other than that, I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of improvements we need on the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, I mean, we're the number one overall offense. I mean, don't fix what's not broken. But I
Guys, gonna
do
get some
think,
pitching.
yeah, I want to get to that in just a second. But there is one guy I want to talk about before I hit to the pitching. Uh, Joey Gallo. He's been one of those guys that I think he just really needs to change his scenery. Probably been the worst hitter in baseball this year. And I don't think that I'm exaggerating when I say that. I think most people would probably agree with me on that. Um, he's been absolutely horrible. And I just don't think that he really. Some guys just can't play in New York. Like, you remember a couple years ago when the Yankees
He's
got Sonny
struggling.
Gray? Sonny Gray came to the Yankees, and he was like a huge acquisition. He pitched well for the Athletics. Came to the Yankees, got absolutely lit up. Kind of had some stuff with the media, just wasn't a good fit. He gets out of New York, and then he becomes, a solid 2-3 rotation guy again. Some guys just can't handle it. Joey Gallo, I think, is one of those guys. And he can only play right field, and right field in Yankee Stadium is very short. So we can put a guy like Matt Carpenter in right field because it's fine. Like, it's a short field. You don't want to put Matt Carpenter in left field, which is a huge left field. You want
Yeah.
to put a guy like Gallo there, but he's kind of has the yips when he plays left field. So he's just not a good fit. I think a team's going to try to take a flyer on him. I don't expect us to get anything back for him. We're probably going to have to designate him for assignment, honestly. But I think a team could take a flyer on him. A low key trade for maybe a low A prospect or something like that.
Yeah, we never know.
And,
Might
and
get
a team
something.
like the Padres, like if they miss out on Juan Soto, which we'll talk about them here in a little bit, but if they were to miss out on him, I mean, why not take a flyer on Joey Gallo, a guy who has a bunch of potential and maybe in the right scenario could boom again. He was a great player on the Rangers, so maybe he just needs a change scenario. But that's what I think we're going to do offensive wise. But as far as pitching goes, like I said, I mean, the Yankees rotation has been worse lately than they were to start off the year. Again, like I said, we are off that historic start. It really has to do with our starting pitching as well. We
Yeah.
had, I think, all five guys had an
A lot of
ERA under
pitchers out
4.
there.
But we have some guys out, some guys not performing very well, and I think we're gonna try to go get a starting pitcher. Cashman always gets a guy at the deadline, whether it's a guy just to eat innings and save some arms, like a Jose Quintana type pitcher,
I was
or
going to say, yeah, he's actually not doing bad. I was thinking the Cardinals might actually go for somebody like that.
and he's a guy that I think maybe I think he gets traded, and he's going to get traded to a team that maybe has some starting pitchers hurt or wants to get some guys breathers, guys who are coming to innings limits. Like on the Yankees, we have Nestor Cortez, who's never pitched this many innings as a starter in his career. Tyone's been hurt a lot in his career, and he's been healthy, but you never know. So a guy like Quintana comes in, and he can push it maybe to a 6-man rotation or take some stress off those guys, but not a guy you'd probably want to start in a playoff game. But I think the
Yeah.
Yankees really try to go for a big name starter. The one they're being
Really?
linked to the most is Luis Castillo. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that the Benintendi trade shows that, hey, that's what we're going to do on offense. If I'm guessing what the Yankees are doing, I think Benintendi is the only trade that really happens on offense besides Joey Gallo leaving. And I think as far as starting pitching goes, I think we could get one or two guys, but I think one would be like a Quintana type, a guy to eat innings, like we did a couple years ago with Jaime Garcia, and then try to go get a front of the line starter like Luis Castillo. I mean, you go into a
What about
playoff
Frankie?
series. I could see Frankie Montas too. His injuries concern me a little bit, and he's not been obviously as good as Luis Castillo, and he's not going to cost as much. But
Pablo Lopez is out there too. That's another big
and the
name.
Yankees have been connected to him as well. But those guys kind of come with some red flags to me, injury concerns and just overall dominance. Castillo's the one who the only concern comes with me is what it's going to take to get him.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy that you pencil him in to start behind Garrett Cole and you call it done. I mean, those two are kind of as good as it gets as far as a 1-2 goes. I mean, besides like a DeGrom Scherzer type, which that's not fair. But you
Yeah.
put Cole and Castillo out there on the bump, game 1, game 2 of a playoff series. You have them pitch 4 times in a 7-game series. I mean, I really like our chances there. And Judge just hit a home run, walk-off home run. There
There's
you
the
go.
game.
There's the game right there. There goes that man. He's the baddest man in baseball. I'll tell you that much. 39th home run to walk off the game. He's nuts. But no, I think starting pitching is where we look for sure. Try to get a front of the line guy, Frankie Montas, Luis Castillo, or maybe like a guy like that, Pablo Lopez maybe, and then get a guy who's can be an innings eater, a guy who can come in and make it a 6-man rotation. And then we really got to work on our bullpen.
A lot of guys out there.
Yankees bullpen has been fantastic this year, but we've had a lot of injuries and we're relying on a lot of guys who have never pitched in October before. We've gone into October in prior postseasons with guys like Chad Green, Aroldis Chapman, Zach Britton, these big names who have been there before. Well, this year, our closer is Clay Holmes, who's been on the Pirates his whole career. So, he's never seen the playoffs. So playoffs are a whole different game, man. I know that it's still the same game, but it's just completely different feel to it. So I'm a little worried about that, especially because the guys on our team who have seen the playoffs have been horrible this year. Chapman and Loizaga, 2 of our best pitchers last year, they haven't found their groove. So
Guess you get old David Roberts. Didn't David Robertson play for the Yankees at one point?
he did. Yeah, there was some weird stuff that happened between him and the Yankees. So I don't know if that'll happen, but I really like the fit. I think obviously he's a great pitcher and a guy who can come in.
Then you could bring back old Michael Pineda. Bring him back too. I remember he was on the Yankees.
Yeah, I remember the game that he had pine tar so thick on his neck it was like 3 inches off, and he got thrown out of the game. And he acted like he was mad. I'm like, dude, okay, I'm sorry, you're dark, but you're not that dark. That guy's pine tar was like this thick off his neck. It was insane. But yeah, I'd be welcome to see it. Maybe a guy come in, eat some innings, a long inning relief guy. I'm okay with that.
There's a lot of guys out there.
We just need guys who can pitch in the 7th and 8th inning, though. David Robinson. I would love to get like Mantiply. I think that would be fantastic pickup.
Jorge Lopez from the Orioles.
Yep.
That could be somebody that.
There's always really relievers that are on rentals, man, and I think
Tigers have a lot of good relievers.
Yeah, for sure.
In Soto and
I
Robertson.
wouldn't be surprised with however which way we go there, but I think they need to make 3 more trades. All on the pitching front. Get a starter. I would like them to get a front of the line starter, but they need to get a starter, and I think they will. Get a back end bullpen guy, a guy who can come in the 7th, 8th inning and can do it in a playoff game, and then get a tweener guy, a guy who can maybe spot start, or a guy who can give long reliefs like Pineda, like that kind of thing. A guy who we can rely on to be a solid pitcher come September. So I think
it's gonna be a lot of these contending teams though that are gonna be after all these
bidding.
These
That's how it always is. Yeah. It always is like, and maybe the Yankees could go the way how they did with like Clay Holmes. Man, they traded a low level prospect for a guy who nobody thought was a good pitcher. Everybody thought Clay Holmes was bad. They bring him to the Yankees. They tweak the way that he spins the ball. They tweak the way he uses his pitches and what pitches he does use. And now he's the best pitcher or relief pitcher in baseball. Like it's insane. So they can do something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I do want to see them kind of make one more splashy trade. Like Benintendi's was splashy, but it wasn't like huge. But I'm okay with that as long as it's another Another good arm. And I really just want to see our guys get healthy. Want to see Stanton come back and be the guy he was. Um, Zach Britton's supposed to be back in the end of August. He'd be a big pickup for our bullpen if he's healthy and if he can pitch well. So, um, and that was talking Yanks. But no, we obviously love to talk about the Yankees here. And, they're a great team. I got to talk about them. But I want to dive into your Cardinals fandom here a little bit and talk to you about the Cardinals, kind of what's going on here. I believe in the Cardinals. I think they're a better team than Milwaukee. They're 3 out from Milwaukee. Obviously, they still have some games head-to-head against them.
Hard to
But
watch them at times, man.
Cardinals have a really tough, like you said, man. The Cardinals have the hardest schedule remaining in baseball this year.
They do.
Next weekend, the Yankees are coming to town to play them. They're playing Toronto. I mean, they're going to be. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to win this division. But I think that if they go out and kind of go all in, I think that they can do it. What are your kind of thoughts on where the Cardinals need to go, and where do you think they're going to go over these next 7 days, or I guess 5 days, really?
I mean, obviously, you want to believe that they're in the whole Soto talks. I mean, and I'm back and forth on it. I mean, obviously, I want them to do it. I think that the latest that I saw was they were trying not to get rid of Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn, who were probably names that you probably heard of, just because they are more.
So I watched the futures game, so yeah.
Sorry, did I cut out?
No, you're good.
So my banner came up and said it was having issues. But Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn are probably some of the top. I mean, they played in that little prospect game, futures game. They're 2 guys. So, and those are 2 guys that probably the Nationals were like, well, I want to scoop those up. Those are, third baseman and a shortstop, second baseman. I mean, they can kind of play anywhere. Jordan Walker can play a little corner outfield. So, I mean, they want to scoop those guys up pretty quick. They're young, have huge futures. Obviously, we don't know what it's going to pan out. And you've even said that too. Obviously, with prospects, you don't know. But Soto is a generational player. But now their Cardinals are trying to hold on to one of those players and possibly throw in Nolan Gorman, who was tearing up the whole AAA. He was leading the league in home runs and RBIs, I think, right before he got called up in the AAA. And he's been hitting pretty good. I think he's around 230 right now. But honestly, I don't think that they're going to get Soto for some reason. I just think it's going to be like a Dodgers or a Padres. Honestly, I think it's going to be one of those 2 teams where they're just going to unload whoever, the Nationals want. Probably going to be a little bit better because the Dodgers and Padres know that they're that close to like winning a title. You know what I mean? Like they know, and it's like the Cardinals, they know that obviously Soto's going to help them. And, if he signs, that's a great addition to the team. But it's like, is he the missing piece to win a title right now? I mean, no. I don't think so. I mean, our starting pitching is what's really been bad. Obviously, Flaherty and Steven Matz. Matz has kind of been up and down. He had a great start till he got hurt when he was, trying to feel the ball, unfortunately. But we need pitching really bad. So honestly, I don't think that the Cardinals are going to go after Soto. I mean, they might go after another player, like another outfielder possibly, to maybe get some innings. Trying to think of some guys that were out there, maybe like a Santander. What is that guy's name? He was one
Anthony Santander
that they've talked about. Yeah, from the Orioles.
I mean, David Peralta on the D-backs. I mean, he's a guy that would be a good pickup for you guys as well. I think a lot of your problem, too, with your lineup, which obviously I think you guys need to address your pitching most.
I think, I mean.
But the problem with your lineup is you had these guys who are so consistent. I mean, Arenado and Goldschmidt, I mean, they're going to get a hit every night. Those guys are going to do their thing. Edman, if he gets on base, good luck, because he's going to score. And you have, a couple of those guys like that. But, the bottom of your lineup's really just been a dud, man. It seems like, and I know that I'm an analytical guy. I like to look at the numbers and stuff. But one thing analytics doesn't look at is momentum. And in a baseball game, momentum's very real. The top of your lineup starts to hit really well. You score 1, maybe 2 runs, and then the top of your lineup, like I meant, your bottom of your lineup comes up, and they're just kind of almost automatic outs when it seems like you guys are rotating guys in and out. You guys have got some help from some young rookies, but are you really gonna want to count on those guys come October? If you guys are in the playoffs or even down the stretch in September when you're wanting to win these playoff type games, a game in September against the Brewers that could decide your division, and you're having to play 3 or 4 rookies out there. And I mean, the Cardinals have a great farm system. They have great young players to play.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I mean, you can't expect a rookie to be able to hit well and field well and count on that to make it far. So
I think that a lot of people had high hopes for Jordan Hicks to be in the rotation to like earn his spot. He wants to be a starter, but it's just not panning out, honestly. And that Matthew Liberatore, he's just not getting the job done with his opportunities. So I mean, there's a few names that have scratched the surface that I've even seen that Cardinals are kind of been tied to. And one name, obviously, that I think everybody is Pablo Lopez. He would, fit right into the same. He fit in anybody's rotation. I mean, he's somebody that could, help our depth extremely. And if we do get Flaherty back, then that's, Wainwright, Michaelis, Flaherty, him, I mean, that's a good strong 4. And then, obviously Hudson's out too. I mean, so Matz is out. So, I mean, there's guys that are out, but other guys that I've seen whose names kind of brought up that I have one that is kind of interesting, but I want to see your take on it. But a couple others that I've seen is Tariq Skubal from the Tigers. He's a lefty. With Matz being out, he's somebody that, if the Tigers are willing to depart from him or, trade him, I think the Cardinals could pounce on him. He's 7-8, but he has a 3.8 ERA in 19 starts, striking out over 9 hitters per 9 innings. I mean, he's playing really well. And another guy, Zach Plazak. Am I saying his name right?
Yep.
Plazak, whatever.
Plazak, yep.
I think he's another young guy that could definitely help. He's a promising young pitcher that, and it seems like everyone is available on the Detroit Tigers roster, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and then obviously had a tough year, but he's a guy that, has been there, has been that front of the line type guy. And, maybe he needs to change of scenery. Obviously still has the stuff. So the Cardinals kind of need to take flyers on anything they can right now.
I think so too. And one guy too that I think is kind of a flyer, and I saw a report that they were actually calling the Angels about Noah Syndergaard.
I've seen that, yeah. 1
year, 21 deal with the Angels. I mean, it might be like kind of like a rental piece, but basically that's what J.A. Happ was last year. And remember, the Cardinals signed, or who they trade, John Lester and J.A. Happ. They got those 2 players that kind of actually that ate up a lot of innings for them late, kind of what you were talking about, like some veteran pieces that really was pitching really well. So, I mean, it might be a rental. It might, I don't know if it will come cheap, but I mean, he's not having his typical year, but I still don't think it's going to be like maybe what the Cardinals want to offer him. But
I think the Cardinals, obviously every team can use a front of the line starter. Every team can use a guy like Luis Castillo. Every team can use Frankie Montas. The Cardinals are truly one of those teams that I believe can they just need like 1 or 2 innings eater guys. Like I said, a Quintana. You're even talking about Syndergaard, and people want to think, oh, it's Noah Syndergaard. Well, he's not the Noah Syndergaard you remember. After Tommy John, I mean, he just doesn't have the electric arm that he had. But if he can give you 6 innings every 5 days, that's all you need. Because right now, I'm looking at the Cardinals' schedule. And right now, you guys have a 4-man rotation. That's what it looks like. You got Wainwright, Michaelis, Hudson, and Palante, which if I'm the Cardinals...
Yeah, and Hudson's injured right now.
That's what, and it's showing this on ESPN. Like, so here's my thing. If I'm the Cardinals, I think game one comes around of a playoff series, you're going to throw Miles Michaelis or Adam Wainwright. Game 2, you're going to throw the other one. So those are top 2 guys, and I think Wainwright's been pretty inconsistent lately. His earned run average has gone up almost half a run over the past month or so. He's had some games when he looks dominant. He goes against Toronto, 7 innings, only gives up 5 hits, 1 run. And then he plays the Reds, he goes 5 innings, gives up 7 runs. So he's been pretty inconsistent, but you know that when a big game comes playoff time, he's a guy that you can count on. He's going to go out there and he's going to give it his all. But the Cardinals really just need some guys to eat up those innings for them. And so, I mean, I'm excited to see what you guys do. But like I said, I think you guys really just need to get some innings eaters, guys who can take pressure off of the ones who have been doing it all year long. Because eventually, I mean, what's the word on Flaherty? Is he going to come back?
Maybe next month. I don't know. I'm hearing he's getting closer and closer. Is kind of like what we're hearing, but
sure.
But
I mean, he might even be a guy that, like the Yankees are probably going to do with Luis Severino when he comes back from injury. Probably going to just throw him in the bullpen as a guy who can give us some, because he's got really good stuff. But I don't know if we can re-ramp him back up. Maybe that's something the Cardinals look to do with Jack Flaherty, thinking that, you know, we might not be able to get his pitch count back up, or a guy who, you know, you're only going to get 3 or 4 innings out of. Throw him, you know, you're going to get 70 pitches out of the guy and see what you can go from there. But yeah, I think you guys just really need help overall in the pitching department. You just need to find some innings.
If the Cardinals, you'll probably get a kick out of this, but if the Cardinals do not get Juan Soto, and if the rumors are true that Shohei is out there and could be traded, I'm telling you, the Cardinals, they need to just trade everybody and get Shohei Ohtani. Not saying that the rumors are true and he is available to be traded, but imagine having Ohtani, Michaelis, Wainwright, Flaherty, and then go ahead and starting off, you know, Ohtani, Goldschmidt, Arenado, 1, 2, 3, him going out there throwing 9 innings.
Yep. Yeah. I
never know.
Obviously, Shohei is going to go somewhere. Cardinals are going to get are going to probably be one of the teams that can give the best return, because this is also why I think that they are the favorites to get Juan Soto, not for like a fit standpoint, but because I think you guys probably have the most to offer. You have these young prospects like Walker. Isn't he the 6th overall prospect in baseball and wins the top 100 as well? You have Nolan Gorman, who just came up and he absolutely raked in AAA. Yeah. Matthew Liberatore. And even Dylan Carlson, if you're getting a guy like Shohei back, you're throwing him in that all day long. And one thing that I was also thinking about too, Paul Goldschmidt's having a great, fantastic career year, obviously. But he's 34 years old. And we know that a lot of players start to dip off after, 33, 34. So at some point, he's going to slow down. So if you guys don't go for it this year, kind of where you're going to go from here, you're going to really be turning it over. I think this year, maybe next year are your years, because if not, you're going to really turn this team over from the old regime into the new, which isn't a bad thing, but I think it pushes out your championship window a couple of years.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't like
Arenado, you have Goldschmidt, who are older. So you got to take advantage.
Arenado's only 31, so I'm okay with where he's at. But Goldschmidt does worry me a little bit. I think his power is going to go down, but he still hits for a really good on base and really good, just doubles hitter. That's what you really need. So I don't know. I think you guys are going to make some moves. Need to shore up that pitching, though. So, but what I am excited about
is hope we don't play a World Series against the Blue Jays either, because I don't know if you saw that Arenado and Goldschmidt is not vaccinated, so they couldn't play at all against the Blue Jays. So I guess if we play in a World Series versus them,
I was listening to good old Trevor Plouffe, and he was saying that he thinks if it looks like the Blue Jays are going to go deep in the playoffs, we're going to see some funny business. All of a sudden, Arenado and Goldschmidt, they got a vaccine, which, again, it's political. I don't care if you got the vaccine or not, but I care if it messes with my sports. So if we were in the biggest stage of them all and we don't have the 2 best hitters on one of the teams out there, I'm going to be pretty upset. So, again, I don't think either one of the teams are going to the World Series, but it would be very interesting for sure. But no, I think the Cardinals, they've got some moves to make, but they've got the prospects to do it.
Sounds like they're trying to hold on. The last time I heard about, and you probably already talked about the whole package, but it sounds like that Gorman and Mason Wynn are kind of like that main deal, and Dylan Carlson are kind of the main 3, and then just throwing some other Joshua Baez, Lucan Baker, Malcolm Nunez, just some random other guys that are, a little bit farther down the line of when they are coming up, and they're really trying to hold on to Jordan Walker. So
Yeah.
that's what I saw. I don't know. That was kind of like the last thing, which is a lot. I mean, that's a
Well,
lot for the Nationals to
right. I mean,
hold on to.
obviously, you're going to give up a lot of prospects because, prospects are prospects for a reason. They're not in the show hitting and doing crazy stuff right now. It's just what we expect them to maybe be. And outside of, a top five prospect in baseball, most of these guys are kind of a toss up. I see Yankees fans, freaking out about trading Jason Dominguez, who's like 36th overall prospect in all baseball. He's a switch hitting center fielder. He looks crazy good. The thing is, like, the guy maybe could wash out of MLB in 5 years. You don't know what he's going to be, but we know
Mhm.
Juan Soto is off to a top 10 start to a career ever, hitting wise. Literally, his stats, they pulled up his stats. I don't know if you saw the tweets from Buster Olney. Pulled up his stats, and there's only like 6 guys who technically have had better hitting careers at this point in their careers. And it's like Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, Mel Ott, um, Ted Williams, like all these all timers. So you're getting a sure thing out of some guys that could be. But even like this, think about this: you're giving up Nolan Gorman, Wynn, Carlson, and say one more prospect. You're making that trade every day, right? You're
Yeah.
making okay. So yeah, you think about each one of those players. Do you think they could be good, maybe all-star level players? Are any of them going to ever be anywhere close to what Juan Soto is? The odds are probably close to zero because there's
Pretty
only been
low,
6
yeah.
players as good as him at his age. Like, we're not
Mhm.
talking about you're getting a 30-year-old Aaron Judge. You get 23-year-old Juan Soto who could be in the bigs for 15 more years. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I
That's a
think
good
Cardinals
point.
are really hot on him. I heard the Padres. We've talked about this. Josh and I talked about it for a while. Padres are really hot on him. They have a lot that they can offer too. But Mackenzie Gore did go down with a shoulder injury, and I thought he would be maybe thrown around in the trade talks. So that's interesting. Sucks for him. Hope he recovers quickly. But it does change things a little bit for the Padres. And I kind of want to go through our fringe playoff teams here real quick. We're gonna go league by league. We're starting the National League, but who you kind of are expecting to be busy here in the trade season, and who not? Obviously, as far as the National League goes, the Dodgers and the Mets are going to be busy. They have the 2 best records in the National League, and the other division leader is Milwaukee. Um, with them, I mean, I don't really see any pitching help needed. Obviously, everybody can use a little bit more pitching, but they have a
I think they are
fantastic.
gonna get. I think they are gonna get some arms. Honestly, I
You
mean,
think so?
I think they're looking for a bat and an arm, and I think both of them are equally important.
What?
Honestly, for the Brewers, because if you look
Yeah,
at they were what ranked second, I believe. Um, they were ranked second in the majors in ERA in 2021, and now they're right in the middle of the pack in 2022. Brandon Woodruff just came back. Freddie Peralta he's out. Adrian Hauser just landed on the IL with the right elbow injury, and Eric Lauer hasn't been the same person he was. So I
that's
mean,
true.
injuries are bad and they happen up and down. So I mean, honestly, I think that they're going to be looking all these guys that we just talked about starting pitching, like these big names that we're throwing around. Um, I think that they're going to be looking for those guys, but I don't think it's going to be probably like a bigger name. I think it's one that you're thinking for the Yankees to kind of eat up innings, whether it's Michael Pineda, Jose Quintana, one of those guys that maybe the cost, Zach Greinke, I don't know, the cost is not as low, or not as
Mhm.
high, but somebody to eat up some innings, and then I don't know. I mean, yeah, I could see him try to pick up another bat as well, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do focus
Yeah,
on pitching
I
here.
guess I was more thinking of like in a playoff series, they kind of have their 3 starter guys. They're going to throw Burns, obviously, guys, disgusting. Uh, Lauer, I mean, he hasn't been what he was last year, but he still is having a good season as far as a baseball player goes. And then Brandon Woodruff, I mean, if he's back to what he was, if he's not going to be injured anymore, those 3 are pretty good to have on the bump for you and 3 playoff games. And then their bullpen's disgusting. Devin Williams, Josh Hader, Freddie Peralta, Brad Boxberger, like those guys, they're going to go out there and they're going to do it. But I really think for them, the bats are the big thing, and I think they're going to try to pursue one or even two. I think they got some holes in that lineup, and that's what we said before the season even started, that they needed some bats. But going into the wild card teams, I think Atlanta, I think they're going to pass the Mets. They've slid here lately. They're only 6-4 in the last 10, but they were on that super hot streak, and they almost caught the Mets. And now they're a couple games behind, but I think that they'll still catch them. I think for them, maybe they want to get a low key bat, maybe even a trade like Ian Happ, a guy like that. I don't think they need to do anything crazy there. Their pitching's really good. They've had big performances this year. San Diego, definitely think that they're going to be in on guys. They're always making crazy trades.
Yeah,
they're going to try.
I think the Mets are going to be looking for. I heard that they're really trying to focus on getting a catcher. So obviously Wilson Contreras is one of the big names that I'm hearing kind of floated around there.
Yeah, they've given some money to some catchers, but they've had some injuries, on their roster.
Their catchers are hitting terrible.
Yes, catchers are hitting very terrible. But James McCain, when he was healthy, wasn't good, and they gave him a lot of money. Thomas Nidos, he hasn't been great either. He's really a backup catcher. So yeah, if they have any holes in our lineup, it's catcher, and it kind of reminded me a lot of the Astros. The Yankees just played them in a Subway Series, and it felt like the Astros games to me. Their lineup's super good. They can beat you from basically up and down 1 through 8, with the one exception being the catcher. And I think I said this on the podcast last week that when the Yankees play the Astros, I feel bad about 1 through 8 hitters. Like I feel like these guys can tear us up, and then the catcher comes around and okay, this is an easy out. That's kind of how it felt when we were playing the Mets in the Subway Series. I think both the Astros and the Mets are going to be big on Wilson Contreras and try to get that big bat in there. But
Philly's going to do anything? Catch up?
Phillies, man, I think that they really need some outfield help. Obviously, that's been the thing all year. When Bryce Harper comes back, again, I don't know that they're going to have.
They need to move Schwarber to a more DH. I heard that they were was interested in Benintendi as well, but now it's probably looking for somebody else since he's off the table.
Benintendi would have been a great fit for them, I think. Slaps the ball around, gets on base a lot, plays really good defense. And they really have 2 DHs playing the outfield a lot of the time with Castellanos and Schwarber. I think that both of them are pretty awful in the outfield. So you need to get some outfielders. Even if Harper comes back, you hope that he can play the outfield. But again, you don't want those other 2 to be playing the outfield with him.
They need some bullpen help too, I've seen.
They always need bullpen help. That team's bullpen is always horrible. It feels like Aaron Nola just leads that whole staff and just, tries to do what he can. So I don't know. I don't know. I think that they try to do a lot. But
as far as the other teams, I think honestly, National League Giants are probably going to be looking at sellers. I mean, they've lost 7 games in a row now. It just seems like they're just on the downhill stretch, honestly. So,
yeah, and I've actually seen some things. I think Carlos Rondon might be on his way out, man. I think they might trade him. If the Giants say, you know what, hey, I don't really like our position that we're in, which, I mean, how could you? Carlos Rondon, he's got a player option for next year, but after the year he's had, he's going to opt out. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to go get his money. Rodon, I mean, he's a guy, if he becomes available, Yankees, Cardinals, a bunch of those other teams jumping on that. They want him at the front of the rotation for sure. I think it'd be a huge pickup for the Cardinals if they got a guy like him. The Giants, they got a lot of things that they can trade off if they decide to do so. They're one of my fringe teams that I'm really waiting to see how these next few days go. But again, they're on a 7-game losing streak. So, I mean, I think they need a trade. And so that really leaves 3 spots for 4 teams trying to make the wild card. So I like that. It's going to be a tough race. But obviously teams like Miami, Arizona, Colorado, and the rest of those teams, we expect them to be trading anything they can
Yeah.
Miami said basically every player is available, not named Sandy Alcantara. Like they're going to be trading everybody.
Yeah.
So,
So we'll see what happens.
and then
Yeah.
as far as American League goes, we've talked about the Yankees. We've talked about Houston a little bit. Houston's has 6 or 7 starters. They don't need a starter. They're actually, I don't know if you've seen this. I thought it was kind of interesting. They're trying to trade one of their starters to get maybe some catching help or get some bullpen help or another like bat off
Yeah, I
the
think
bench
bullpen
type
is
thing.
something that they're trying to look at.
Which any playoff team wants another bullpen arm. And they're obviously going to be in the playoffs. They're going to go deep in it, I'm sure. Um, but I definitely expect them to get busy with that market there. Minnesota, they lead the Central. I I don't know. I don't think that they really are going to do a whole lot, just because I don't know. I just don't think they're that good of a team. And
Who are you talking
if they're
about?
going to the Twins,
Twins.
if they look at the roster, I mean, where do you kind of start? There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes in the pitching staff, a lot of holes in the offense, a lot of holes on the defense. There's a lot of holes on that team. And Carlos Correa
Yeah.
can opt out and become a free agent again. So I don't know that they're going to go all in this year, or they can
I
say
don't. Yeah. I'm
maybe.
not seeing any
I
big
have
splashes. I
no
did say
I no
though,
clue.
I did see going back to the Astros. Not to backtrack, but I did see that if their big splash that they would look into is Brian Reynolds from the Pirates, and I love Brian Reynolds, and he's a great player who could do a lot for any team, and I'm sure anybody would love to have him. I'm a big fan. Obviously in the Central, we see a lot of him, but I mean Jake Myers, and it's kind of been with him and that Chas McCormick young guys are great defense, but obviously Brian Reynolds will help with the bat as well. The only thing that is concerning is they said the Astros don't really have like a great package for him. Is the main concern as far as their farm system, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they're pretty depleted as far as that goes. But one other name I do like for them is Josh Bell from the Nationals. Their first base production has been pretty bad. We've talked about them wanting a catcher, but they also really value the defense they get from Martin Maldonado and their catchers there. They really like that. But as far as first base goes, they really liked Yuli Gurriel a couple years ago, but
he hasn't been playing very well.
he's been pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
And Josh Bell's available. A great
I saw
hitter, a
that.
guy who
Yeah,
would be great for their lineup, and I think that's very scary if they were to add him. Um, but yeah, no, they don't have a great package for a team that's not a contender. So I mean, I don't think Josh Bell will take that much to get. But a guy like Brian Reynolds, I know that the Yankees have checked in on him. He's going to take a lot. He's got a lot of control left. I think he's got 2 more years after this year that he's still under control. Um, so arbitration years. I could be wrong on that. I think it's 2. I think it's 2 years though. So he's going to take a lot. He's a great player. Obviously, last year he had a better year than this year. But again, there's not a whole lot of center fielders ever available at the trade deadline. So,
yeah,
especially a guy who is a fringe top 5 center fielder. I mean, center field's not a very deep position like it used to be. You got teams like the Yankees who have the best record in the American League playing Aaron Judge at center field. Like he's not a center fielder. He's obviously a really good defender, especially for his size and his speed. But center fielders are hard to come by. So Brian
hmm
Reynolds is going to take a lot. I don't know that the Astros have the ability to pull that off, but I think Toronto's going to try to get some pitching help. They had coming into the year, their starting pitching looked nasty, and their
yeah.
starting
I
pitching
saw
has
that.
been horrible. Just not great overall. Just they've been like Jose Brios had a really bad year. Kikuchi has been awful. Um, Ryu's hurt. Alec Manoa's been really good. Kevin Gossman's been really good.
hmm
But everybody else has been hurt or just really bad. So I think they're going to try to go get an arm or two. I've heard them tied to Luis Castillo as well. They had a really good farm system, at least that's top loaded still. Uh, so I really see them going after some things. I see Seattle really trying to go for it too. Obviously, they don't
Yeah, I
think
can
they're
see
going to
them
win
doing
their
some things.
division. They're 10 games back in the division, but they have a really, really good chance to make that wild card, especially with there being 3 wild cards this year. There's going to
Well,
be more
hot take
buyers.
though. I think that the Rays are going to fall out. And I agree with these 5 teams, but I'm subbing out the Rays, and I think the White Sox are going to. are going to buy really big and have a big push with their players, with their pitching,
Well,
and they're going to take that spot because
I got a
I could
hotter
see
take for you than that.
I could see them going on little runs.
You and I kind of agree on this, and we haven't talked about this. I promise. Promise. We have not talked about this. I think Chicago White Sox. I think they're going to take the Central. They're only 3 games out. I don't think Minnesota's going to take it. I think Chicago's going to make a couple trades and kick themselves in the butt and say, "Hey, let's go." Get some of their guys back from injury and say, we're going to take this division. And Minnesota, I think, is going to give it to them.
I can see them picking up Wilson Contreras playing for a different Chicago team.
I think so,
maybe
too.
Tommy Pham, somebody like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, I wanted to break this on air. The Mets, they traded for Tyler Naquin and Philip Dial from the Reds. So they're making trades. They're trying to improve kind of everywhere. They get a left-handed pitcher and an outfielder for the Mets there. So, yeah, I think the Reds are saying, hey, everybody's available. So, yeah, I really do like Chicago's chances of getting a couple of those guys. So, Nate's connection.
It's bound to happen at least a couple times.
So
Mets are acquiring Naquin, eh?
Mm-hmm. They're acquiring Naquin. So, yeah, I really like the chances of the Reds trading people off. So, I see this is probably Josh commenting here. Seeing some people on Twitter say teams aren't scared of the Yanks. And this is the flukiest start to the season. Thoughts? So, I think somebody's trying to rile me up, Josh. Again, like I said, they were super hot, and now they're going through a stretch where they don't have to win every game, and they've been injured. They just went out and got Andrew Benintendi. I think they're going to make a couple other trades. Again, I don't think it really matters with how you start or how you end. I mean, teams say I don't think there's any team that's saying that besides like Houston, and Houston doesn't have any reason to be afraid of the Yankees because they're the top dog in the AL until somebody dethrones them. But I mean, of teams I have the most confidence in going into the playoffs, I think it's the Dodgers, number 1, the Astros, number 2, and then I think it's the Yankees. And the Dodgers and Astros have run roughshod through the league over the last 5-6 years. So those two should be 1 and 2. So, but Cleveland, I think Cleveland's going to kind of do some selling and buying, buy low on some guys and sell high on some of the rentals. Like Plesac, I don't think they're going to do much. Baltimore, I think they could. I don't think Baltimore's really going to trade a whole lot, but they're not also like I don't think that they think they're going to make the playoffs. Josh's source here that he keeps blurring out. I think that's great, buddy. I think your sources are top notch, but whatever. Flukiest starts to say whatever. It's been the Yankees have been absolutely better than either one of your teams, Josh. So there's really no denying that. But the one team I want to talk about with you before we go, okay, getting close to that hour mark. There's one team I want to talk about, and it's the Boston Red Sox. Nate, where do you see this team going as the trade deadline approaches? I mean, they're horrible. They're 2-8 in their last 10, getting absolutely blown out in some games. Their defense has looked awful. Their hitting has not been good. Devers is hurt. Xander Bogaerts is in the last year of his contract. JD Martinez can opt out. They've got a lot of big-name rentals, guys who might not be on the team next year. Christian Vasquez, Nathan Eovaldi. They have a lot of guys that they can trade. Do you think that they're going to trade? Do you think that they're going to?
I don't know what they're going to do. I think that they should probably sell because I don't really have much high hopes for them. They'll either stay strong, maybe add another pitcher if they're really wanting to kind of stay in contention. But I don't see any big moves either way. I don't see them selling. I don't see them buying into a bunch of big people. But I'll give you a scenario of a trade deadline that your boy GM did for the Cardinals. I actually traded for Xander Bogaerts at the deadline on my MLB The Show season. and traded some young prospects, DeYoung, and was able to put him right at shortstop. Obviously, Edman at second, and it led me to a title. So, I mean, you never know.
I mean, I can see it
Bogarts is on
happening.
the table.
Edmund's been a great defender at Edmund's been a great defender at shortstop this year, but his natural position is second base.
Yeah,
So I mean, I can see
he's
something
only
like
a
that
Gold
happening.
Glover at second base.
Right. I mean,
I think Bogarts is
I
just
would
that
love to see
5-tool
Xander
player that
Bogaerts.
do everything. Like
Yeah,
Bogarts
a
can do
guy
everything.
like Xander Bogaerts doesn't come available. But the thing is, Boston can look at it one of two ways. Their fans are going to be in an uproar if they don't trade him, or if they trade him, because Xander Bogaerts means so much to that community, means so much to that team. JD Martinez is the same way. But thing is, you already signed Trevor Story to a long-term deal, and you haven't been able to agree with Xander Bogaerts on anything. It's kind of like with the Yankees. If the Yankees were in this position, would they be trading Aaron Judge? There's some things to be said there. So Xander Bogaerts is a guy if I'm the Red Sox and if I don't have to face my fans, I'm probably trading the guy. But you have to. I think they're probably going to stand pat. I don't think they're going to do anything. Try and see if they can go on a run. I think they'll miss the playoffs, but anything can happen.
I don't see anything.
But if they decide to sell, and the Giants decide to sell, woo! Watch out. League's going to go on fire.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great players on both of those teams that are on rental or have one more year left on their deals that can really make a difference in this trade deadline.
And it sounds like we're both high on the White Sox too.
Well, here we go. Ken Rosenthal just retweeted. Xander Bogaerts said he's been told personally he's not getting traded, and there's a bit of relief there. Blah blah blah. But also, we've heard that stuff before, and people get traded. So I'm not buying into it until August 2nd after the trade deadline.
He'd look good in a little bit brighter red with some birds instead of that darker Boston red.
I think we could throw some pinstripes on the man and make him look pretty classy.
Are you ready to give up on IKF?
IKF's been something different. I think that he would be bigger
defensively,
news.
Right? I heard
he's actually the worst defender in all of baseball when it comes to charging a baseball. If he has to move in on a ball, he is literally ranked last of all infielders in the league. First baseman, shortstop, second baseman, third baseman, all of them. He's ranked last. Now, laterally or moving back on a ball, yeah, but he can't charge a ball worth crap. And he's a shortstop. Like, that's not good. And I think if Joey Gallo didn't exist, IKF would be a bigger problem. But, again, if the Yankees don't trade Peraza, I see him coming up and challenging IKF and taking his job. But, I mean, if the Yankees shortstop is their biggest need after the trade deadline, I'm okay with it.
Why don't you look to get Jose Iglesias? I don't think he'd be very much. I mean,
I don't think so either. But I don't think one, it's the way the Yankees want to go with analytically driven and stuff. And he's not a great defender. But I don't know. I think if we do anything with our shortstops, it'll be with one of our young kids coming up and trying, like Peraza, taking his job. Otherwise, IKF will be our playoff shortstop, which if we have Juan Soto playing right field, Benintendi in left, Judge in center, Stanton at DH, Matt Carpenter playing third, IKF short, Glaber at second, Rizzo at first, Trevino behind the plate, and Garrett Cole on game one on the bump. Give it to me all day long, baby. But man can dream, right? But Nate, I appreciate you joining me here tonight. You got anything else you want to say before we head off?
I don't think so. I think my picks for Yankees and Mets New York series is looking the strongest.
That Subway Series was pretty nasty. I know the Yankees lost both games, but they were great games. There was a playoff intensity both games. They were fun to watch and fun to see. So I'm excited about that. And but yeah, Yankees Dodgers doesn't look bad either.
It's going to be a fun.
As far as Josh goes, though,
few days.
Angels, man, Angels went from first to worst pretty quickly. They're thinking about trading Shohei Ohtani, and Mike Trout's got back issues, which go figure. I'm sure he does. But everyone thinks Well, no, he's got a rare back condition. You see that?
No, I saw that, but I mean, I don't know about the whole Angels pick. I'm still questioning that baseball knowledge from our boy, from our
Well,
co-host.
well, he doesn't indulge real much on MLB besides sources at the trade deadline. So he hasn't had these sources all year. Now he's got sources all over the place. So
Yeah,
we'll
that's what
see.
I'm hearing.
We'll see. Maybe he's right. Maybe the Cardinals are getting Juan Soto and the Yankees are gonna be nothing. But again, got to see it to believe it. But
Maybe
thanks,
they'll get
guys, for
Jose
joining us.
Iglesias.
Maybe we'll see. Hey, if that happens, man, I'll call you the GOAT. But everyone, thanks for joining us. Have a great night. Thanks for joining on Bleacher Takes, and enjoy the madness that is the MLB trade deadline.